Hello, welcome to Film and Television Examinations, where we talk about movies and television shows old and new, along with different types of genres. And for today's episode, we are going to talk about the parody genre. Now, do you know what a parody is?
My understanding, parody is like it could be a lot of different things, but for the most part, it's something that you take and you kind of just make like a funny, humorous like joke out of it in a funny way to make people laugh. Like I've seen a lot of parodies in my lifetime, and they're always funny. There's something that gets you able to laugh easily. If the try not to laugh videos ain't working, which nowadays they really don't work. If you want to laugh, watching a parody or an old one, especially from like 2014, that's the stuff that's gonna get you giggling.
Yeah, I laughed so hard sometimes my chest literally hurts. And one time when we were watching The Naked Gun Part 2, I laughed so hard we had to pause the movie so I could calm down. Yeah, and like parody is sometimes feels like a cartoon at the same time because that's what they loaded up with and everything. Yeah, so some examples of the parody genre could be Spaceballs, Airplane, The Naked Gun, Scary Movie. Like, could you name a few?
Like Scary Movie?
Yeah, like stuff like...
I know The Scary Movie. That's basically like a ripoff of Scream.
Yeah, and it also... I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's what the main plot is all about. And its sequels spoof other popular movies and all that kind of stuff. Airplane is meant to be a parody of the disaster genre, while Naked Gun is basically spoofs of cop shows. And there's also a superhero movie that came out in the early 2000s, which is both a parody of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Batman Begins. Yeah, parodies. They sometimes take a certain plot of a movie and then they fill it in with a bunch of jokes and exaggerations and all that kind of stuff. Like now, do you know what makes a parody?
Well, I was just saying, like a parody, it's like you got to take something, you got to turn it into something funny. How do you make it humorous? How do you make it? It could be inappropriate, but I won't touch on that since we're on Wayne Hills TV. But anyways, like it's something that you just got to make it into something that's gonna get you to laugh, which is easier said than done. But you could just take anything, like it could be the smallest minute detail, turn it into something just out of uncharacteristically goofy, and make it funny. It's easy to find stuff like that if you have the sense of humor to make it happen.
Yeah, parody is usually defined by their use of surreal cartoonish humor, including slapstick gags, sight gags, wordplay, sarcasm, dark humor, cartoonish humor, and innuendos and double entendres. Yeah, very big emphasis on that, and pop culture references in more recent ones. Now, you should know that not all parody is like those types of movies. Sometimes, like The Simpsons is Treehouse of Horror episodes, like they with the characters just parodying like certain movies and all that kind of stuff. And Weird Al, back in the late 80s, made a movie called UHF, which features segments of him parodying multiple movies and all that. Now, like, today, parody has kind of waned out a little. It's mainly because in the early 2000s, the parody genre, which most people called the spoof genre back then, other than the first four Scary Movie films, Not Another Teen Movie, and Superhero Movie, the genre kind of waned out because of terrible entries such as Epic Movie, Date Movie, Disaster Movie, that speaks for itself, and Meet the Spartans and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mainly because they featured way too many dated trends and jokes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got a point. It's nothing is really funny anymore because stuff's either overused or just too old. Like back then, as you were saying, early 2000s, the internet was in its early stages, like its baby form, infancy, I should say.
If you want to know how bad it got, when they made Disaster Movie, most of the movies they were spoofing didn't even come out. All they used were like trailers to get an idea of the movie they were supposed to be spoofing. Yeah, it felt like just a bunch of unfunny sketches all stitched together.
I see that.
Yeah, and like a few years ago, if you ever heard the movie like 50 Shades of Grey, Marlon Wayans, who was one of the stars of the first two Scary Movie films, he made a spoof called 50 Shades of Black. Did not do well. Yeah, the sad part of that movie is that like it's like as the reviews say, it bears the unfortunate distinction of being as unfunny as like the unintentionally funny film it's trying to spoof. Fewer laughs, you know. Yeah, but today, thankfully, there have been a couple of good ones, such as like Weird Al. He made a parody movie of like that was based on his life called Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which starred Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter fame.
Music artist.
Yeah, yeah. He says that there were some moments in the movie that were based on his life, but the whole thing is incredibly exaggerated. Yeah. All right, that's all for today's show. We will be back with more content for the next show, but for now, see you next time.